Hey superheroes! Yeah, you heard me right. We at Pedi-Ed-Trics think EMS should actually stand for Emergency Medical Superheroes. One day you're going to need all of your skills and training to be a hero to a child. So your training starts today, and we're going to push you further than you think you can go and give you some critical thinking skills that you will need. This online testing is for the purpose of improving your pediatric skills and gaining not only confidence for your future PEDS calls, but also continuing education hours for your license. This program is based on the Broselow system that was created a long time ago, but it doesn't really matter whether you have a Broselow tape or a hand-Tevi system or a Pedi-Wheel. Whatever your cheat sheets are, it doesn't matter. Whatever your hospital makes you use it. But we want to make sure that you know how to find all of those critical things that you'll need. Your emergency meds, your equipment, the vitals, anything that you're gonna need to take care of that really sick child. The first question of every scenario will ask you, what color zone does this Manny kid fall into? And even though it has the age listed in the scenario, you will need to answer that question too. It's your freebie, but there's a reason. You will start to associate colors with certain ages, and continuing to practice will help gain muscle memory, and soon you'll have confidence when it comes to caring for really sick kids.
Hey, it's Scott. And when it comes to kids, remember in healthcare that the sicker the kid, the higher the stress. The higher the stress, the less your brain works. And therefore, when you think about math, it was hard enough in high school. Not to mention when literally a kid's life is on the line. And therefore, for sick kids, you've got toys. The key is simple. You just have to know how to properly play with your toys. So with it in mind, remember, you've got Broselow tapes, you've got hand-Tevi books or apps, and you've got Pedi-Wheels. But from the perspective of these scenarios, remember that all of the scenarios work for pretty much whatever you've got. However, we're going to go ahead and just focus on, real quickly, the use of the Broselow tape or the Pedi-Wheel. And when it comes to the Pedi-Wheel, a couple things come into play. First of which is around the outside, it has ages. So if you know the age of the kid, grab the age, dial it in, you're ready to go. Number two, around the outside, it has colors that correspond to Broselow and hand-Tevi. So if all you know is this kid is a yellow, simply dial it over to the yellow zone. And on one side, you're going to find the ideal weight, you're going to find normal vital signs, and that's important. Because remember, the Broselow tape has lots of pieces of information, but it doesn't have vitals. So you're going to find vitals, you'll find tubes, both endotracheal and King Airway, iGel, and LMA as well. When you flip it over, again, you've got age and you've got color. And once you simply dial that in, you're going to find all of your resus medications as well. So specifically though, when it comes to the Broselow tape, a couple things that's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Most importantly, whichever scenario you happen to be playing with, remember on one end of the tape, you've got the big red arrow. And when you measure, red goes towards the head. You put red to the head and you measure then down to their heels. And in this case, you see the kid is a purple. And once you know that the child is a purple, couple things from the tape. First of which is, remember on one side of the tape, you see purple up top, it tells you the ideal weight on the bottom. Because think about it, this kid ain't going on a scale, they're sick enough using a Broselow tape. So you've got color on top, weight on the bottom. Because in kids, we can't do squat until we know how much the kid actually weighs. Number two is the easiest way to remember what's what, and more importantly, where's where on a Broselow tape, is either A, you can go R&R. R&R means resus and RSI on one side, meaning all your resuscitation and intubation meds are on one side and everything else on the other. So option one, once you've got a color, you can just go R&R, resus and RSI on one side and everything else on the other. Or even easier, don't go R&R, go E&E. And E&E simply means once you've figured out the color, you've got epi on one side, flip it over, you're going to find equipment and endotube on the other. So whoever you want to play, that's the keys to the Broselow. Couple other quick things though as we finish, the first of which is when you're trying to find stuff. Remember on the equipment side that ET tubes are called ET tubes. Where do you tape the darn thing is called ET insertion length. They call a suction catheter. It's not a trick question. NG tubes are NG tubes. And because of copyright, they couldn't call a Foley a Foley. So they call it a urinary catheter. It's all there, you just gotta know what it's called, and then you can happily find it. Now, the other kind of a neat thing though is remember on one end you got the big red arrow. However, a little known kind of a neat trick is if you go to the other end on the latest version of the tape, that's where you're also going to find this little really helpful section called the No IV Quick Access Meds part. And why that's important is depending on which scenario you play with, it may involve drugs up the nose. Because beyond Narcan, we're all so giving now Versed and fentanyl up the nose, especially little kids, for pain relief or sedation/seizures. So with that in mind, if you're trying to find that information, just simply go to the I don't have an IV section, and that's where you're going to find the dose for Versed or midazolam up the nose. So Pedi-Wheel, you've got color, you've got age. Simply equipment, etc. with vitals on one side and meds on the other. And when you play with Broselow, red to the head, down to the heels, not their toes. And whether you want to go E and E or an R and R, you're set.
Each of the online quizzes correspond to a scenario number, and that number is in the corner of the scenario card. Simply select the quiz you want and answer your questions until you receive a grade for that scenario. If you fail, you are allowed to retest one time, so pay attention to mistakes. There will also be helpful Peds pearls along the way for you to view. Ideally, as you get good at finding the information quickly and your brain knows where to go to find these things, it's going to take you about 12 to 15 minutes per scenario. But not all of the answers are going to be on those apps and tapes, so make sure you know what your plan would be to go back and find those. So when you first begin, it might take you just a little bit longer depending on your skill level. And while I'm bringing that up, yes, if you want credit hours, you need to answer all the way to the expert level too. We said we were going to push you, so by the time you're finished, you'll have a much deeper knowledge of Peds and probably impress a few people along the way with your knowledge. Once you're done, a downloadable certificate will be sent right to your email, so you don't even have to worry about that. We hope that you'll enjoy this journey we've created for you to help improve your skills and understanding of pediatrics. In order to master anything, you must do it over and over. Fundamentals and repetition are the key to mastery. We wish you every success in your future and thank you for being a part of our mission to save the lives of children through education. This is truly your moment. When you're practicing and getting better at this, you will be a superhero to a child someday.